Good day, Spiritual Squad. This is Richard of Guided by Richard. Hope everyone is doing well. First, I just want to remind those, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with others. Also, in terms of as a squad member, I now have some items that you may be interested in being part of the squad: hoodie, mug, a hood shirt. So if you're interested at the bottom, that's available for purchase. Please do that. And I'm open to donations. So if you see value in what I'm doing that works, I hope you do. That also is an option. But today is time for another chapter of Meeting at the Crossroads. Today's honorary guest, I'm so excited to have him on here, Mr. John Paul Labbe, aka JP. Let me tell you a little bit about him. He is a producer, director, writer, and founder of Soothsayers, a multimedia company that integrates a reality-based TV series, podcast, and web design for the development of spiritual education, healing, and connecting. JP is also the host of Soothsayers podcast. Welcome, JP. How are you today?
Doing great. Thank you so much, Richard, for having me. And congratulations on your podcast. It's creating amazing value. And I'm really excited to do this with you and to listen to more of your podcasts.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's my honor to have you on there. So,
Thanks so
JP,
much.
tell me a little bit about you. That's a very interesting background you have.
Yeah, it almost seems like I've lived like 10 lifetimes in one, but let me see how I can give you the Reader's Digest version. Well, I was an athlete most of my life. My father was an Olympic weightlifter. He was actually, he represented Puerto Rico in Munich in 72. And, so I always had this love for sport and competition and the Olympics and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't go into weightlifting. Well, I do it for, I did it for strength and conditioning and whatnot, but I went into Taekwondo. So I trained, for many, many years, and I was blessed enough to go through the whole process of winning states and nationals, qualifying for the Olympic team. And I represented the U.S. at the World Championships in Canada. This was back in '99, Edmonton, Canada, and the World Cup in Lyon, France. That was in 2000. So the whole gear was to go to the 2000 Olympics. However, they have 8 weight divisions, 8 males and 8 females competing. And because it was it was just accepted because it was demonstrational in 88 and 92, 96 was skipped, and 2000 it became a full medal sport. However, they only chose 2 weight divisions, 2 males and 2 females. So my division didn't get picked to go, and I was also an alternate to go to the Olympics. So it was a great experience. I got to travel. I got to sign autographs for the kids, kind of mentor different children, be a coach at the Junior Olympics and all that kind of stuff. So it was great because it really kind of laid the foundation for a lot of the things that I'm doing now. And it created a lot of discipline, a lot of mind setting, strategic thinking, and sort of strength and conditioning, and also health, and self-defense and many things. Because it's all very important, I think, when you're in anything in life. So that was kind of then when I got to after I competed, I in 2000 at the World Cup, I came in a crossroads of deciding, do I want to continue competition? And I've always been kind of an entrepreneur at heart, so I wanted to open up a martial arts school because I was going to school for physical therapy at the time. So I was working with my dad to do wanted to create a franchise that would be a martial arts, weightlifting training, and vitamin supplement kind of thing, along with physical therapy. But then, big crossroads came in my life. I was actually in a fire where I lost everything. It just kind of happened, and I decided, it's time to pursue what I really wanted to do. I really had a love for entertainment and entrepreneurship and all that. I wasn't exactly as clear as what I wanted, but I knew that I wanted to be sort of in the business. So I decided to finish school and just go in that direction. That's been a long journey because being a producer or a director it's very tough. You need a lot of financing. It's like one producer said to me, if you have a script, because I've written about 5 or 6 scripts, a couple of web series, one web series and a a kid's book that I'm publishing next year. But one thing a producer said to me, he says, if you have a script, you have something you have to raise money and capital for. But if you have a novel, you have something that's more tangible that you can take out to the world and hopefully reach an audience, you know? So, uh, I kind of kick myself out. Maybe I should have written them as novels first, you know. So I'm kind of in that process of working some of my concepts and ideas into novel form. Although my first project, interestingly enough, will be a kid's book. So yeah, that's kind of the long end. And right now, the major focus is I'm working on developing a company called Soothsayers that basically is a reality TV series podcast with a website. So basically, we are displaying people that have natural ability and gifts to sort of foretell events, see things that others can't see in terms of like spiritual things and energy, etc. And which, you were, I don't know if you want to talk about, you were also an incredible talent and you have great gifts, so that you were a tremendous blessing to have on the first episode, which was the pilot of Soothsayers. So very blessed, because at first we were actually going to do just a sizzle reel, but then the editor came back with a full like 13-minute episode. So I was like, hey, let's get the whole 20-minute pilot done. So, considering being the first time and everything, I'm very happy with it. So you'll basically be able to watch a series where you'll be able to see people that have gifts and see them in a real live situation. And you'll also be able to listen to their podcasts and their ideas and whatnot. And then if you'd like to connect with them and listen to buy their products or listen to their videos or teachings and whatnot, you can connect with them that way. So I'm kind of trying to create this integrated system where people can learn about spirituality, different modalities. It's not just mediums or psychics, but it's also astrologers, feng shui experts, I Ching, healers, Reiki, you name it, kind of like the gamut, where people can learn, get value, get into it. And hey, if they want to connect and get some advice with somebody as amazing as yourself, then they can connect with them, So that's kind of like the focus right now. But I'm also focusing on getting a kid's book that I was working on with my daughter for the last year and a half or so. So hopefully next year, the plan is to it deals with astrology. It's an astrology kids book. So it's basically I don't know if you guys have ever heard of The Great Race, but it's basically a Chinese astrology book on their method of astrology, on their Western, whatever it is, astrology, like, the animals, the dragon, the dragon, the tiger, and all that. Not so, being a father, I was reading a lot of kids' books with my daughter, kind of like teaching her that love for reading, which she has really taken off with, and she's even writing her own comics, and she's only 10. So I said, there's nothing for children for like astrology, like or and so as a way of teaching my daughter how to break down a story, how to organize it, how to be able to tell a story that has a beginning, a middle, and an end. I basically sat with her and I got this big cardboard. She's a great artist, so I had her draw all 12 signs, and I said, look, this is how we do it, honey. We take the cards and we move them around, and this is how we work out the story. So I kind of started sitting. It was a good little project that we did together. It's a lot of, poor thing, I had her draw. I had a sketch pad for her, and I had her draw all 44 pages. So it was 44 pages. So she has her own book that she wrote, and then there's also obviously an illustration that'll be published down the road. But it came out a lot more interesting than I thought it would, because I intertwined about 6 fables, but I made them more kid friendly. And it's basically, my goal was basically for it to be one of the last picture books that a child could read with their parent, let's say, where it would teach them some lessons, and it would challenge them, and it would also teach them some life lessons. So, like, for example, do you guys recall the story of the scorpion and the frog, where the scorpion, gets to the back? So I changed that story and made it a hippo, and instead of making it where the scorpion kills the other one, I made it where they make it to the end, and he hits him with he stings them, but he doesn't kill them, and he just says, hey, it's in my nature. So it's kind of like the whole thing, when, do you guys know the story? The scorpion on the front. Yeah. So you understand. So I changed it to make it more friendly. I made it a hippo, the fox, and the so all the different. So I got about 6 fables, and that gave it some essence of teaching children and making them maybe ask their parents and kind of like, it really came out a lot better. So hopefully, down the road, the idea is to turn into an animated series, and it's open for a sequel and whatnot. So it explores mostly the journey, and down the road, we'll probably explore the planets and the individual connections to each individual when it comes to their sign, their individual sun sign.
That's really interesting, a different approach. It sounds like a real niche. So that sounds like a very differential. I really commend you as a father and just family values, just coming up with a way that makes even your daughter more spiritual, including yourself. And it sounds, just a different outlook on, more importantly, because we're trying to really make movements within our family and in our community. So I commend you on that.
Thank
Um,
you.
yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing and hearing more about that.
Thanks
So
so much.
how did you even get into different forms of writing? I know did you kind of fall into those different parts? I hear your part, your daughter, how she kind of you kind of created that from and gave her and encouraged her to move forward. But just in terms of you, how are you?
With the writing,
Yes.
yeah, that's I tell you, I just remember being 17 and just having this idea for a movie, and then just kind of having this intense desire to like want to put it on paper. It's called The Enhancement, and hopefully one day the idea is to make it into a feature film. But I just like I remember when I was like a kid, I had these like figures and like GI Joes and all these kind of toys and stuff, and I just remember kind of like being my own little world, creating almost like a movie in my head, and having the whole house as a kind of like as a camp to do that. And then I wrote this story that I mentioned, The Enhancement. Um, the tagline is, in 2112, to be human alone won't be enough. But it has more to do with like DNA splicing, not AI or any of that new stuff that's taking effect now. But it's kind of like an idea of like marrying the concepts of AI robot and the Island of Dr. Monroe, if anybody's ever heard of those films. But yeah, so I don't, I just was kind of drawn to to put down on paper these visions and things that I had in my head and create them into stories, and it just gave me incredible sense of fulfillment. And it just, I got to tell you, even now, it's probably the thing that I get most excited about, aside from filming and obviously having a finished product once that's done. Because it's when you're writing something, they say you write a movie or a TV series or whatever you're creating 3 times, and I would say maybe 4 times. So like when you envision it, when you write it, when you shoot it and produce it, and then when you edit it. So it goes through like an evolution, which is very interesting, no matter whether you're shooting something that's 30 seconds or a 2 hour movie, although I haven't done any features yet, but that's kind of the idea. And but yeah, I've always had this, and I still do. I stopped working on my I was turning one of my ideas into a novel, and I kind of put a hold on that for now because I wanted to focus on the kid's book, and of course the business takes a lot of time. So, but I hope once I get this the book out, that I can get back to kind of working more on some of my ideas and projects. So, just kind of came to me, and it's just something that I get tremendous joy from.
That's interesting. Tell me a little bit about JP. What inspires you?
You know, I would say I'm, as silly as it sounds, like I'm just inspired by excellence in other people, and that could be, what I mean by that is like the striving for excellence. Like if you ever hear of Earl Nightingale, he
Yes.
was Earl Nightingale and Conan. I used to study these guys a lot, and if the definition of success is the progressive realization of a goal or a worthy ideal, then it could be something like I was watching like the Uber story, or watching a great athlete. I think I was just watching Beckham or something. But it could be as much as like seeing a father or a mother taking care of their children and taking them to their classes, or preparing and thinking about what's the best school that they can go to. Even in the process, like we were, of like or my ex, of getting her a puppy and going through that whole process. So to me, like just wanting to live and to better yourself and striving for excellence in anything that you do, honestly, that always fuels me and inspires me. I was never the person that envied anybody. I always like saw somebody's success, and I was like, man, because everybody has something they want to do, and focusing on somebody else's thing was never my thing. It was more utilizing that as inspiration towards what I wanted to do. So that's really, I think, what really does it for me.
Is there anybody physically that you could think of that kind of inspires you, that one we may be familiar with?
I was always really inspired by Howard Hughes.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know, just his just even though he came from money and whatnot, but I don't know, there was something about him that just kind of like really inspired me, of him just having courage and just going out and doing what he wanted to do, and just being, just go-getter type of thing, so there's quite a few people. I mean, I guess he's somebody dead. uh People that are alive, yeah, I don't. Like I said, I kind of grab different things. I even have some mentors online that I get a lot of information from, like Patrick Bet Davis, or Alex Hermosi, um, Gary V, who's pretty inspirational as well. So I just kind of like extract different things. I think that's always kind of like been my thing, and look for patterns and structures that I can apply into my life and that work for me, because we're all individuals, biochemical individuality, biochemical spirituality, probably as well, right? So then you got to find that thing, and I think for me, I'm still honing. I'm not fully where I want to be, but I'm on the way I feel, and I feel like everybody has something to kind of, if you sit there and you listen to their story or their things, I think we can always learn something that we can hopefully apply, or make us think about something within our own lives that we can use to improve ourselves, or to reach something, or to change something that can help us achieve what we want. Or not that everything's about achieving. Or some people that I believe that we're here for different things. So it doesn't mean that I don't admire somebody that's not trying to achieve great things. Like my mom, for example, she's in a very relaxed place, but I admire the fact that even though she's retired, she's got her little hobbies and her goals, and she keeps herself moving. So that's what really, for me, yeah. I guess if honestly, if I have to talk about something, probably be my mom. She's really, with everything she's gone through, and being alone and whatnot, she's really inspirational, because she's has her own home and her own things, and she went through a lot. So so I would probably have to say her, if it's somebody alive that you wanted to hear.
Cool. Another question. So your undertone that I hear in sort of your messaging speaks about connectivity and the healing, and a lot of spirituality part. If you were to say, was that fair to say that one? And the second part about that, what is it that you want people to really differentiate your works compared to someone else?
Well, I would say, if in terms of my competitors, maybe you mean, or the people that are doing something similar.
You could, but you definitely said what your the way your approach is and what you're doing is very unique. So I don't think you even have a competitor. But in terms of that role, like what you sounds like your undertone about, it's definitely trying to move people. You want to heal people.
Yep.
Just talking about some of that connectivity in a higher way seems to be your undertone with the book, and then even what you're trying to do with your podcast and the movies and stuff. So is that fair to say that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And as a business person, you gotta study the market, you gotta study your competitors or people that are doing something similar. And if somebody is doing something similar, that doesn't mean it can't be done, right? Because, like, I guess you got the example of, I keep mentioning them. It's not like I love them. I've actually never even taken an Uber, but I guess because this story is fresh in my mind. You got Uber, right? And then you got Lyft. So there's different modalities and people that can take something and change it. So like right now, I've got California Psychics, as they have something similar online that they have. There's one-on-one that Paul Abdul is also backing, and Keen. There's a bunch of stuff, But what I wanted to do was something that, I mean, as a business person, I have to think about how can I monetize something so that the engine runs, because that's in this dimension. Fortunately or unfortunately, we have to think about monetization somehow. However, for me, as I've worked on evolving, and in my humble opinion, as I've gotten a little bit better, uh, I, I truly believe that providing value for people, like if I had all the money in the world right now, I would continue to pursue what I'm pursuing, because I enjoy giving value to people, having people learn about these different things like that I've learned. And hey, I'm also curious and I want to learn more, because maybe I know enough to make me dangerous, but I don't know a lot. So it excites me. Even I can't wait to do a podcast with you to learn more about you and your gifts and your modalities and whatnot. So uh, so yeah, it's providing value. I don't know. It just fulfills me, and I always believe in the law of and correct me if I'm saying this wrong. Reciprocity, you
Uh-huh.
know, where you're providing value for somebody, and I'm not expecting it, but I just believe in it, and I believe it comes back to you. You know, it comes back as a whole. So, for example, with soothsayers, my goal was really to create a win-win model first. You know, within the modalities of what we're trying to do, of helping people, of having them learn about things, having them be entertained, and then also being able to connect with these experts. So, with the soothsayers. So. Uh, that's really what and then the same thing with the book. You know, I believe that you know, going deep and having people think and having them apply or work on applying it in their lives is, I mean, what I just, there's nothing better. I feel, you know, it's just, it really kind of nails it home for me. And it just, it hits my heart, you know, just makes me happy. So I think, you know, I think following that emotional guidance is the key. You know, if you're doing something and you feel good and happy and it just hits that heart, you know, I believe that you're going in the right direction. Same thing, you know, as many of us have experienced. If you feel something and it doesn't feel right, you got to pay attention to that as well. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about some of your products and services. What can, if someone's interested in working with you, what does that look like?
So you know, we're going to provide from the episodes. Episodes will run about 20 minutes. So from the episodes, we're going to have clips that'll be throughout social media. People will be able to watch the full episode as well, obviously. And so, for example, let's say somebody like yourself, well, you have your gifts, and I know you have your own company and your own things. But let's say somebody like yourself with your gifts and your talent and the value that you provide, you were on the first episode on the pilot, and somebody's like, "Oh my God, Richard is wow, I love him." Which, by the way, I've gotten a lot of compliments about your incredible work in the pilot.
Oh, thank you.
So thank you. And as an example, somebody wants to connect with you, they'll go to the site, they'll go to your page, where you'll be able to work in creating it in a way where you can almost design whether you have the backgrounds and all that kind of stuff, and people will be able to. So, however, let's say somebody watches you and they'd like to know more about you, and there's, oh, he's got a podcast, so you know, he's got an interview. So, you know, they'll go in and they'll listen before they make the investment of connecting, because obviously, you know, not everybody knows everybody until they connect and they get that experience with them. So at the same time, down the road, if let's say you're doing different videos to teach certain things about spirituality or whatnot, they can also learn and watch it through that cycle, and products as well. So it could be something that uh, to help them in any way. I mean, it could be anything as candles or incense or protections, you name it, something that they connect with. So that's kind of the idea, is to connect the right people to the right person that can help them in their spirit, in their journey, really, in their spiritual journey. And some people need healing. Some people don't believe in this stuff and just want to connect with an astrologer, which is, some astrologers don't like to be linked in. Like I had a little session with Susan Miller, and interestingly enough, she's like a famous astrologer. She doesn't believe in, I got the feeling like she didn't believe in psychics or like to be lumped in. And I was kind of surprised. I was like, okay, because my personal astrologer does. So it's a little different, you know. So there'll be different kind of modalities. So it's not all, you know, the psychic. So that's kind of it. If that makes sense, that's sort of that's the concept here. And it's all in development, you know, because it's trial and error. One of the things that I want to do is my competitors, for example, charge a per minute charge. So what I want to do is do a flat fee where, you know, you're not sitting there being milked for minutes. You know what you're gonna get and the time, and you know, if it's something that you want to do, then you connect with your favorite soothsayer.
That's awesome. That's really great.
Thank you.
So, what advice would you give to new business owners or people considering that?
I think the most important thing for anybody pursuing anything in life is asking yourself, do you love what you're thinking about doing? Do you have incredible passion for it? And you know, this isn't even, you know, we could study all the great people, and I think that that's one of the things that resonates within them. They have an incredible, you know, because the journey, man, I mean, just to give you an idea, just in soothsayers alone, well, I mean, I thought about the idea as only a TV series in 2005. And then I wrote a script, which will also be tied to the business, called Tower, which has to do with a legend in Alpine, New Jersey, actually. But it's one of those things that I feel that you have to. So that was 6 years, 7 years that I've been working on soothsayers diligently. However, the concept originated in 2005, and then for me to qualify for the Olympic team took me 13 years. So, my point is whatever we choose to do, it's such a long journey for the most part, and that you got to love it, because you're going to have challenges, you're going to have tribulations, you're going to have things that are going to discourage you. So my advice would be, answer that question first, but lock yourself up in a room and do some soul searching, and don't ask anybody. Many people, they're going to knock you down. They're going to give you negative feedback. If you're blessed enough that you have somebody that gives you positive feedback, hey, that's amazing, But I would say this is something because you're the one that's got to walk with it, walk through it. Unless you have a family and you got to talk to your spouse, and that's a different story. But even then, you're not going to be fulfilled and happy unless you're pursuing something that you want and you have an incredible passion, because that's what's going to carry you through. It's like, even me, if I didn't have passion, what I love about soothsayers for me is that it encompasses three things I love: spiritual energy and all these kind of things, which I've always had great passion for, entrepreneurship, and creativity as well, because there's filming and things involved and whatnot. And I've got to utilize my creative instincts for that as well. So it kind of marries three things. And my idea was, or at least my goal is to create a win-win model where the soothsayers that have gifts can help other people, and at the same time monetize their gifts so that they can have a roof over their heads and eat and be able to help more people. The people that are getting their help are not getting ripped off. They're connecting and being able to see the people that they want to connect with, etc. And at the same time, the company makes money so that everybody can eat. So, that's my attempt here. And that honestly, that's what really makes me happy and really, as a whole, is creating something that's the closest thing to a win-win model that I right now can think of for my life, as well as that spreading on to others,
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Let me ask you something. So, if anyone is interested in reaching out to you, what would be the best way to get to you?
Best way. Do you put any links down on the bottom?
Yes, we will. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you, because I'm still in the process. The toughest thing with the soothsayers is trying to balance working, having a daughter part-time, because I don't live with her full-time, and then trying to launch not just the series, but a whole, this whole gamut of things that we're trying to do. So, and I'm doing this all by myself. I do have teams now for filming and for the website and whatnot, but I'm pretty much doing it all by myself. So it's been a great challenge. The website's going to be under soothsayers.co, but it'll be launching next spring of 2024 coming up. And there we do have a YouTube channel, Soothsayers. I have to, I'm still wrapping my head around all this media stuff, believe it or not. I know it sounds like I should have it all together, but it's a process because I got to have all these modalities. But, at first I wanted to create the template, the concept, and I have a great mentor, Alan, who's really helped me also, who's been very important in this journey, who I owe a lot of gratitude to. So it's, I've had a lot of great help, and I felt very blessed, including having you on the pilot and your friendship and whatnot, and all your great advice as well. So, maybe we could put in the link for the YouTube channel, which right now, honestly, we have the first 2 minutes of the pilot. The pilot's 20 minutes, so we have the first 2 minutes, and then we just have a couple little clips. But starting early next year, we're going to start every week, 2 or 3 times a week, putting out a lot of material. So we're kind of gearing up for the launch, we can put it that way. And being a bit of an astrologer, I utilize timing of events and things, and like preparation to, I got into astrology because of a saying JP Morgan had, and he said that millionaires don't believe in astrology, but that billionaires do. So being a person that was interested in business, I found that very interesting, and that's how I started, kind of like studying and everything. and whatnot. But this reminds me to like finish off this little part. There's a if I remember, it was like when I was studying Earl Nightingale and all these guys, when it comes to a desire or something that you want to do, and I believe it was by Thoreau, he said there's nothing capricious in nature, and the implanting of a desire indicates that its gratification is in the constitution of the creature that feels it. And that always, that's a fancy way of saying that if you have an intense desire for something, that means that within you there's the capability of you being able to achieve it somehow. It's going to take effort, it's going to take work, it's going to take a lot of energy and time. But there's, if you have this desire, man, like that to me, man, I never forgot those. I know it's a complicated way of saying that, but it just hit home for me.
Sidebar question about your project, and I know you're working at this junction independently. Would you even consider anyone that may be interested in investing in it, or would that be an option to you?
Yeah, that's a good question. So originally that was the idea, was to create a sizzle reel, and the pilot that you were on and whatnot, we were going to create like a 2 or 3 minute snip. Because as you know, it took like a year and change just to get an edit. But it took me 5 months just to get an editor. So I didn't have, I hadn't had any capital or anything. But, honestly, for me, COVID was a big blessing because I put a lot of money away and I have enough to kind of just get started, at least get the site started, get 3 or 4 episodes in the can and whatnot. So I'm trying to kind of like leave it in the hands of the universe, my spirit guides and whatnot, to see, because I have enough to get started and see what happens. I am open to it. However, in the beginning, because I have a particular vision, I don't want that to interfere. However, if the right person comes across, I am open, absolutely. But the biggest thing I'd be open for would be so that I can quit my job and focus on this full time. That's what like would really do it if it was the right person first. So it's not about even the money first. It's the right connection and the right partnership, and that they understand the vision and whatnot. And then of course the right deal, because I've worked really hard and I've invested a lot of money and time. And my idea for the company to make money or whatnot is to develop other projects and other things that will create value for and help people in different ways. So I'm kind of in that crossroads. I'm going to kind of see what happens next year, and if people like this kind of things, or gravitated to certain things, maybe the audience can grow it little by little. We'll see. Kind of coming in that process. I have enough to get me going until the end of next year. So
Yeah. Yeah, but it's only out there. Hey, like you're very clear about the vision. So the parameters sound very clear too. So let's hope the universe is allowing you to stay within your vision and not compromising that vision. So let's see, just in terms of just our thoughts and the vibration we're putting out, that we're hopeful that it comes out exactly the way you vision it to be, in the law of manifestation, that you don't have to give up anything.
oh, thank you, man. Blessings, and thank you for those kind words, and may they reach the highest fulfillment. Thank you. Yeah, a lot of prayer, a lot of work and stuff. So yeah, I'm excited. Thank you, Richard.
JP, it's been an absolute pleasure. You're such an amazing man, and your background and your works, I look forward to learning more about it. I'm sure the audience is too. And we thank you for your time, and we will add your information so that you can be approached. And we're going to ask the universe to add that little caveat at the end.
Thanks.
And it's been my honor, and I appreciate your time, and I look forward to continue working with you.
Oh, thank you so much, Richard. Thank you for having me on. God bless. I'm very excited also to continue to see the development in your business and your work. And yeah, I'm totally excited to hear our episode as well, and to have you on the Soothsayers podcast.
Absolutely.
Very soon, my friend. Thank you so much. Blessings to you. May you continue to grow and be blessed, and hopefully we'll work together as well. We'll keep doing some other things. I want to get you on another episode. You're amazing.
Absolutely. Well, Spiritual Squad has been the best, and I'm sure you will enjoy this episode, and it'll be out shortly again, and the links will be included at the end. And thank you for your time.
Thank you all. Thank you, Richard. Cool.